It's funny how HQ calls it downtime, like, 3 days is enough to piece yourself back together after the kind of week we had. 3 days of bruises blooming like black flowers across my ribs, stitches that kept splitting every time I took a breath too deep. 3 days of cold coffee and the hiss of painkillers that only took the edge off. No sleep, just the glow of overhead lights in a bunker that smelled of antiseptic and burned memories. Baird was in the next bunk over, arm in a sling, eyes half-lidded from the painkillers. We didn't talk much. Words felt too heavy, like every syllable threatened to tip us back into that frozen nightmare under the missile silo. He cracked a grin once, something that hurt his face. 3 days. That's a record, Moon. I grunted. My voice felt like it belonged to someone else. The next morning, if you can call it that underground, HQ dropped the file. Field log number 9. Meatpacking plant in the middle of nowhere. 2 local cops vanished. Last comms were just static and a scream. No coordinates. Just a name scrawled on the folder. Kessler's Meats. A place that had been closed longer than I'd been alive. The briefing was paper thin. A single page with coffee rings and a typed heading, Predatory Unknown. Baird flipped it shut. Another easy one, he muttered, sarcasm dry as sand. I tried to laugh. Came out a cough that rattled my ribs. They gave us a battered Humvee, paint half scraped, heater that worked on even days, windshield cracked like a spiderweb. I rode shotgun. Baird drove one-handed, his good hand clenched on the wheel like it owed him money. The road out was dirt and broken asphalt, the kind that rattled your bones loose. Pines closed in on either side, trunks black against a sky that couldn't decide if it wanted to snow or rain. I watched the trees blur past, each one leaning closer than the last. Every mile felt like it dragged us deeper into something we couldn't crawl back out of. I rested my head against the window. My stitches pulled with every bump. The radio crackled, but all we got was static. Like the world had decided to go silent just for us. Baird kept talking, stories about his old unit, jokes about all the ways a man could die in a place like this. I listened, but my mind kept wandering back to the bunker. The smell of burned blood, the way the cold in the missile silo felt alive. I wondered if it'd follow us here. The turnoff came sudden, half hidden under branches. A rusted sign that read Kessler's Meats in letters that looked more like claw marks than words. Baird slowed, engine growling low, tires spitting gravel. The road beyond was a gash through the trees. 1 lane, cracked asphalt, potholes deep enough to swallow a man. We followed it, the forest pressing in like it wanted to smother the world. The plant appeared around a bend, a squat, windowless bunker of cinder block and steel. A chain-link fence ringed the perimeter, sagging in places where the posts had rotted through. Quality Meats. Since 1972 was painted in peeling letters above the loading dock. The O in quality was cracked clean through. We killed the engine. The silence hit like a hammer. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. I stepped out, boots crunching glass and gravel. The air smelled of rust and old blood. Baird came around the hood, shotgun loose in his good hand. Feels like a place where ghosts come to feed, he muttered. I nodded, the weight of it all settling in my chest. We circled the perimeter. The fence gates hung open like the place had given up fighting back. We found drag marks in the dirt, something heavy pulled inside recently. Fresh. A dead flashlight, battery corroded to powder, lay half buried in the mud. I felt my stomach twist. We geared up, flashlights, extra mags, chem lights cracked and tucked into our vests. I checked the deagle, chambered around, felt the weight of it settle into my palm. Baird grinned that half-broken grin. Let's make a mess, he said. I tried to smile. My ribs ached with the effort. The main loading dock yawned open, a mouth full of broken teeth. Inside, the darkness felt like something you could drown in. We stepped through, every footfall loud enough to wake the dead. The ceiling was a tangle of chains, hooks swaying on cables that groaned with every draft. Bloodstains, old and new, marked the concrete like a roadmap to nowhere. We moved slow, eyes on every shadow. The stink was thicker here, sweet rot and iron. The kind of smell that sticks in your nose long after you leave. My boots crunched on something soft. I looked down. Tufts of hair, dried meat, bones yellowed with age. But fresh blood too, dark lines trailing deeper inside. We found the first door, half open, hinges rusted. The office beyond was a shrine to decay. Papers scattered like leaves, chairs overturned, a mug on the desk, coffee frozen in time, mold climbing the sides like a black vine. Baird flipped a folder, police reports, names half legible. The last page was smeared red. No words, just a single, desperate handprint. A sound from deeper inside, a slow drag, metal on concrete. Baird froze, his eyes locked on mine. I nodded, throat dry. The sound came again, slow, steady, like someone pulling a blade too heavy to lift. We moved down the hall, lights catching on chrome and broken glass. The smell got worse. Burned meat, sweat, something else that made my skin crawl. The hall opened into the main processing room. Chains hung like iron curtains, hooks dripping with old sins. The air felt thicker here, every breath a struggle. Then I saw it, massive, 8 feet at least, bulked like a slaughtered steer hung wrong. Its head turned, smooth and eyeless, face a mask of melted scar tissue. In one hand, a butcher's cleaver that looked like it could split bone with a flick. It turned its head, like it could see us. The nostrils flared, it sniffed the air, and the grin that wasn't a grin split its face. I felt the deagle in my hand, heavy, cold. The butcher lunged. The cleaver swung, a blur of rust and meat. I ducked, felt the wind of it slice past my face. Baird fired, slug to the chest. The thing staggered but didn't fall. It swung back, cleaver whistling. Sparks flew as it hit a chain rack, sending metal links spinning like shrapnel. One caught my arm, ripped the sleeve, burned cold. I stumbled. The butcher pivoted, nostrils flaring. It swung the cleaver low. Baird barely dodged, but it caught him across the ribs, splitting the sling, blood spraying in an arc that hit the wall. He went down hard, gasping. I screamed his name, but the thing turned on me, cleaver up, dripping black. I fired, every round hitting, chunks of meat flying. But it kept coming, the sound it made like a broken freezer fan. It swung. I dove. The blade hit the wall, sparks exploding. I scrambled under a conveyor, breath ragged. My ribs felt like they were on fire. Baird's shotgun boomed. Once, twice. The thing's head snapped back. Black blood poured. It turned on him, cleaver rising. I lunged, knife out, drove it into its side. The blade caught, stuck. The thing roared, a sound that rattled the ceiling. It grabbed me, claws digging into my vest. I screamed, vision swimming. I pulled the knife free, drove it home again, felt the cartilage crack. The butcher convulsed, body shuddering, steam rising from the wounds. It slumped forward, cleaver clanging. The silence hit like a hammer. I knelt beside him, breath ragged. Every inch of me ached. We sat in the stink and the cold, chains creaking overhead. HQ's voice crackled. Status, I keyed the mic. Target neutralized, survivors in need of evac. My voice felt like someone else's. The butcher's cleaver stayed behind, blade black with old sins.